Hey, I'm Alex, and this is the January session for the Technical Teacher Role Chat for Graph Advocates. Today we're going to jump into Linux and do a little bit of an intro to the terminal. So to get started, we're going to use a playground called Killer Coda. This will be linked in the video description along with all the commands we're running today. But we're going to be running an Ubuntu operating system, which is a distribution of Linux. And we're just going to be learning as we go. We don't need to open a terminal, so we can skip the first Control-Alt-T command, but we'll jump right in with creating and manipulating folders and files. So to start, we're going to look into the ls command. I've linked all the documentation for these commands in the resource for this month, so I encourage you to visit that GitHub markdown file that is going to be shared as well in the video description. But to start, let's just do ls. Let's see what's here. So you can see just the default view, it just shows the file system. We didn't pass any additional flags. If we want to get a little crazy, or not crazy, but just parameterize our command a little more, we can add a -la command, and ls will return some of the files that may not be shown by default, such as those with leading period. All right. And then, can we see what's in .ssh perhaps? Yes, we can. Nice. Okay. So this is where you do like your SSH keys for securely connecting to an external server, or if this is the external server, you know what I mean? But we're not going to mess with that today. But you can see how you can use ls to traverse these directories and output what is inside of them. But we haven't actually changed where we are. We're still in this kind of Ubuntu root location. We also haven't made anything. But along those lines, if we want to make something, we can using the makedir command. So let's make a directory called Jan 2023 role chats. Let's also make another directory inside this directory we just created. So it's like a nested directory. We'll do makedir. We'll leverage the autocomplete with the tab, and then we'll call this nested folder. Nice. And so if we do ls, now we have file system and our January 2023 role chat directory. And then if we ls inside the Jan 2023, you see our nested folder. Awesome. Okay. So we've kind of printed out directories and their contents to the terminal. We've created a directory or two. Let's actually change into directories. So kind of moving our working location. So instead of it saying Ubuntu, it might say something else. Just depends on how the terminal is configured. But when you run ls, it won't just say file system. It'll say what the new updated kind of working location is. So let's do cd into January 2023 role chat. And then let's quickly make two more, or let's make another, or I guess we can do ls and see what we see. So now, instead of it being file system when we run ls, it's nested folder. Okay, so now let's create a directory, change into it, and then we'll run ls again and see what we see. So I'm going to do makedir, another nested, oops. And then, so I can do this in a single line. I'm doing the double ampersand so that after makedir another nested runs, the computer knows to immediately execute cd another nested and change into that directory we just created. And so now if you run ls, it should be empty because this is just the directory we created, another nested. If we then do cd double period, we kind of jump up a level in the directory hierarchy. And so if we run ls again, you now see another nested and nested folder. If we do cd period one more time, and then ls, you'll see we're back at the root with file system and January 2023 roll chat. Awesome. Okay. So now let's change back into the January 2023 roll chat. I just wanted to kind of show that. And then let's actually create some files instead of just directories. So to start, I'm going to use the touch command, and that will let us just very effortlessly create these files. Let me spell touch correctly. So to start, we'll just do some file. We're not going to specify any kind of file ending. But then if you see, it's just some file with no file ending. Okay. And so if we want to have a specific file ending, we should specify that on file creation. We run ls again. Now you see another file has a .txt file ending. Okay. And then you can also use touch to create files in nested locations. You just need to pass the exact path. And so now we created a Rust file in another nested. And so if we do, oops. Now you can see there's the Rust file inside another nested. Awesome. Okay. So oftentimes we're going to want to leverage files that were created by someone else and collaborate with people. And so Git is this super powerful tool that developers and engineers use to kind of manage and version control their code. I'm not going to dive into Git today, but I'm going to really just do a quick little overview of downloading some code and running it. And so we're going to use the git clone command, and we're going to actually download the repository that we're working through today. And so let me rerun ls, and so you see where we are inside of the January 2023 roll chat. So let me do git clone, and then I'm going to copy this URL because typing it will surely end poorly. And so you can see this is just the GitHub URL that you can grab from the repository UI. And so Git is downloading all the contents of that repo stored in the cloud to this Linux Ubuntu server that we're using right now. And now we should have access to the contents. And so if we do ls, you can see now there's this new directory called Technical Teacher Roll Chat, which is pretty cool. So let's actually change into that directory, and let's run ls. And you can see it's populated with some markdown files, a single text file, a license, no code, nothing too crazy. But I didn't have to create any of these files using touch or anything. This was all just in the cloud, and I could easily download it. So that's just nice and convenient. Okay, so that was a quick tour of Git with one command. We're not going to do much more than that. So let's move on. We'll do more Git in the future. Okay, so Nano is a utility that will let us open files, edit them, save changes without a full-on, full-fledged text editor with a user interface, like a VS Code kind of situation. So let's do nano, and then let's open the file titled open this file with nano.txt. Quite convenient. And so we can see how it updates with, hey, this is just the file contents that I populated previously. It's just a silly little message. Let's add another line at the bottom. PS. Hi from Alex in the more recent past. And then we'll do Control X to exit, and then we'll click Y to save, and we'll just update the file and not change the name or anything. Cool. And then if you run nano again and we open it, we'll see our changes have persisted. And then if we do Control X again, nothing, there's no save prompt because we didn't modify anything. Okay, cool. Nano is super useful for quick changes. But sometimes you might not want to modify the contents of the file so much as move it somewhere or make a copy. And so for those kind of operations, we'll use the CP utility. And so for this, we want to copy the contents of open this file with nano to a second location. And so just for reference, let's run ls again, and we can see that there's only a single txt file called open this file with nano. Next, let's do copy open this file with nano, use tab complete. I can't type that quickly. And then we want to move this to copied with CP, or we're not moving it, we're copying it, excuse me. And so now I'm going to run this command. And then if we execute ls again, you can see we have 2 txt files in our directory. Open this file with nano and copied with CP. So we didn't overwrite or rename in place. We simply copied the contents into a new location. However, there are times when you don't want to do that and you actually just want to move the contents of a file to a new location. And for that, we'd use the mv command. And so let's move copied with cp.txt into moved with mv.txt. And then if we run ls again, you can see we still have 2 txt files, so we did not create a third one. However, the copied with CP has been replaced with moved with MV. Very nice. Okay, almost at the end. So let's now kind of quickly explore the cat utility to kind of bring things together. So say we have these files, we don't necessarily want to open them with nano and potentially update, deal with like Control X. We just want to really quickly output the contents of a file to our terminal, just like printing it out, kind of like with ls and our directories and the file contents, or the files in the directory. You can kind of do the same thing with the actual contents of a file. So to do that, we'll use the cat command, and then let's print out the contents of open this file with nano.txt. And so you can see we have really what we saw with nano. It's just non-editable. It's like a snapshot and it's printed to our terminal, but this is super convenient. And so, however, you're not limited to just printing out to terminal. You can also save the contents of your command into a file with cat. And so let me rephrase that. You can use cat to save text into a file. And so let's do that right now. And that's where we'll end it today. So we're using cat and then this nice little greater than sign, or an arrow, caret. And then we want to save the contents, or we want to save some string values into a file called hello there.txt. To do that, let's invoke this EOF kind of utility thingy, and whatever string content you type in between this opening EOF and the closing EOF will be populated into the hello there txt file. So this won't actually, when I press return or enter on my keyboard, this will actually keep the command open. I need to actually add a space there. And it'll be expecting now the contents that I want to be populated into hello there.txt. So let's do, hey there, dude. This is Alex from the even more recent past. TXT for the win. And then to close this, a nice little EOF. All right. And so if we want to now inspect the silly text that we saved into a file, we can use cat hello there. And then you can see that our file was successfully populated with the silly text that I wrote. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This was a quick little intro into command line on Linux. I hope you got something out of it. If you need the links to the playground or the commands, check the video description. I'm Alex. See you next time.